Greetings, Nerd Nation. I'm Josh, and I welcome you to the podcast. Grab a cold evergreen goblet of blue milk and make yourself comfortable here at my House of Nerd. Now for tonight's sponsor, Arnold's Famous Drive-In. If you're looking for the magical place where you can go get a milkshake and a burger and watch Fonzie tap the jukebox for a great tune, then Arnold's is the place to be for all of your food, fun, and Fonzie. Arnold's Famous Drive-In, where all your days there will be happy days. Not a sponsor. And now, tonight's sponsor, or tonight's, you guys aren't sponsors. Now for our tonight's podcast, we have John and Crit with the podcast. And tonight we are talking about the movie that I picked, which is School Ties, directed by Robert Mandel. And it has a lot of really good actors in some of their first roles. Brendan Fraser, Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, and Chris O'Donnell, amongst many. And let's start talking about that movie, you guys. What'd you guys think? First of all, is this the first time you guys have seen this?
First. Yeah, this is the first time I've seen this.
I think I've seen it. I think I've seen it once, maybe twice. But
I don't think this is a film that I would have ever willingly chosen to watch.
Okay.
Just based on the summary, on the back of the DVD cover and all that jazz. I don't know that it's something I would ever have chosen to watch. Just didn't stand out to me, really.
Okay.
Not now that changed a little bit as we got in the film. Like you said, we got some big names. We got Fraser and Matt Damon in here, and I think their performances did a really good job. I think it was an interesting exploratory film into that time of life, or that time of life for the individual. I enjoyed it. It wasn't something I slept through or said, "Oh, this movie's bunk," and wanted to turn it off. It was intriguing and interesting to see what was going on.
Yeah. I know this, with the genre this month of being coming of age, I know this is it's a coming of age movie of a different sort. Especially it's kind of a shift from our coming of age, Stand By Me movie, type thing. But I like this movie just because of all the intricacies of it. Yes, it's coming of age. It's a guy coming into a senior year, not knowing what's going on, and coming into kind of a different, what would you call it? Lifestyle. Yeah, different lifestyle than he's used to. What was that?
A different class for sure, like economic class.
Definitely. And then he's never been at a prep school before like that. And then, on the other hand, having to hide who he really is, in that sort, thinking that he'll get, persecuted, for being a Jew. And, I think I really like this. This movie appeals to me for all of these kind of different intricacies, I mean, I look at it as almost like not even coming of age of just these people, but kind of a coming of age of ideologies.
I think it was interesting for me because I've never been in a point in life where I've ran into somebody with anti-Semitic views. Like I've never dealt with anyone with anti-Semitic views. I wasn't in a place, that was common or anything like that. So to see that take center stage, so to speak, was interesting for me because it's not something I grew up with or have dealt with at all. I've never dealt with that prejudice or that type of prejudice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's I've never dealt with that either. Straight up of this type of prejudice. I've dealt with different kinds of prejudice amongst people around me.
Well, okay. So, yeah, obviously no one's been prejudiced against you for being Jewish since you aren't. But you can't draw a parallel between what he's going through and, I don't know, maybe your missionary time or, times where you are the fish out of water, where it's not your society and you're trying to learn how to navigate it.
Oh, I can definitely draw that line, and I think that's one thing the film does well, is even though it's anti-Semitism, the framing of the shots and the framing and the dialogue made it seem more like, well, this could just be you, just with a different label, not anti-Semitism. It could be something else. So, no, I definitely felt the parallel. Like I could put myself in his shoes and understand what he's feeling and going through, and I attribute that to the quality of the film as well.
I mean, going back to what you said, Chris, of course I've experienced that when I was a missionary for my church. We definitely had people who, you know, came and, harassed us and picked on us for being who we were. And it does hurt. It does sting a little bit. Um, and, you can kind of, again, I can't put myself in that exact, like, the anti-Semitism side of it, but I can put it into maybe anti-Mormonism side. You know, I can put that into people who have been prejudiced against me because of that side, that part of me. And sometimes that's hard. You know, um, you could tell with Brendan Fraser. I mean, sometimes he would just, you know, he would put up with it. Sometimes he would brush it off. Though you can tell inside and inside myself, sometimes I've just been like, this sucks. This is a horrible thing going on, and I wish I could open my mouth, against it, but sometimes you feel like you can't.
Well, he did a lot of fighting in that movie over slights.
He did more than I
So
think
he
I've
did,
done.
yeah.
I mean, he put up for himself. I've verbally stuck up for myself. I've never physically stuck up for myself in that way. Yeah, he's a pretty good fighter. I mean, just from the get go, him, establishing his domain in that restaurant, with all of his buddies. Man, he kicked some butt. He stood up for who he was, and good for him for that. He wasn't taking any crap from anybody for his beliefs, and which is awesome. This is why I like this movie. It shows him sticking up for who he is. He knew who he was.
So what particularly do you like about this movie? I mean, like if it wasn't like, obviously you're saying that you don't really connect with the kind of anti-Semitism parts of it.
No, I didn't say I didn't connect with it. I'm saying it was.
I was
It
talking
was
to Josh,
new.
but yeah,
Oh, okay, sorry.
yeah, you too. That's fine.
Yeah.
I think his journey of coming, maybe working his way. I guess I could look at it as, I've had a lot of people in my life who don't share my religion and stuff like that, and I've had a few people who, I had to be careful about speaking of my religion around them. They liked me who I was, as long as I didn't talk about anything else, out in that realm. And that's I guess that's kind of where I relate a little bit. Maybe not as hardcore as Brendan Fraser's character. I haven't have it as hard as him, but I think that's where I kind of on the surface relate to him in that way of being myself in a place that sometimes didn't always want myself to be out there.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Okay.
Like going out there. I always found it hard, like when I would work for my dad's men and stuff like that at his business, and all of them were tearing me down all the time, trying to break through my barrier, and that was always a tough one. Always jokingly attacking, who you are, trying to, well, why are you wanting to be this way? Just say an F word or say, joke, just swear or whatever. And it'd be like, nah, I'm good, guys, but thanks.
Yeah.
That was a hard thing. I say that's hard. I can't imagine what people like this, what different peoples of different cultures have gone through with the racist and bigotry that's come up through the United States. it's hard. That's a hard topic to tackle.
Mhm.
And, it doesn't matter, what form we're talking about. It's none of it's good. And stuff. So anyways, that's kind of where I guess I relate a little bit to this movie.
Okay.
In that way. Plus I just think it's a good story of overall. I just really enjoy the story of Brendan Fraser's character, how he hides who he is, but when he comes out, he owns it. And at the end, even to the very bitter end, he honors him, tries to honor his friends who are attacking him, their decision, where he knew he would get kicked out.
Yeah, the whole thing with the cheating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
that's a pretty screwed up tradition to begin with. As long as everyone accuses him, that means that's the guy who cheated. That's pretty screwed up.
Yeah.
It might be screwed up, but it's probably real.
But the question is, isn't that how society works?
Okay.
Enough people get together and accuse you of something. It doesn't matter if you did it or not. You'll be guilty in the eyes of those people.
That's true. And potentially the people who are coming into the situation from the outside. So yeah, no, I think it's a good likeness to society as a whole, but man, it's still screwed up.
It's harsh when you see it in the small like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. If you think about it from like a perspective of like juries and stuff like that, you're like, well, that's just how society's set up and that's fair. But it's like, if you look at it from like just a classroom of kids having to come together and decide the fate of their members, it really does draw, I think, a stronger contrast there. You can more easily see how unfair that system can be.
Well, and it had a little bit of a 12 Angry Old Men,
it did
feel to it, with the accusations
montage.
and with the montage and the shots there.
Mhm.
Very, very, very similar to 12 Angry Old Men and kind of.
I think it's just 12 Angry Men.
Yeah, I think it's just
12 old men.
Some of them are
old angry.
Some of them are old.
Angry
Yeah.
Men. Yeah. There was one really old one. I think the old guy was the first one to say not guilty, along with the one guy too, if I remember correctly. But no, definitely a 12 Angry Men feel to that, and just how quickly it can turn on you.
Speaking of that, that's always a hard that part in the movie it's always been really tough of how would I handle it? I mean, compared to like Brendan Fraser's character, if it came out that okay, he's Jewish, but then everybody starts calling him a liar for not telling them that he was Jewish outright, and saying that he lied, and then everybody coming back and saying, well, you lied to us because of this. And I liked what Brendan Fraser said about that in his character. He's like, were you lying to me when you didn't tell me that you were whatever religion you are? Well, I'm Methodist. Well, you didn't tell me that. I didn't know that. I did not know I was living in an apartment with a Methodist. I just like that kind of point that he was driving in. It's like there was that double standard that they were holding him to, as he was a liar because he didn't outright say it was Jew, even though he knew from the very beginning that, I mean, they were dropping Jewish jokes like crazy the first day he was even there. And
yeah, the whole, the down $30 to $40, and he's just, bragging about it, just how normal it was to drop that phrase. Like people like that, people who drop those phrases just normally and don't even pause to or hesitate to say it or do anything like that or look around after they say it. It's a normal thing, and they really played that well in that scene of giving the impression of like, oh, this is just normal. This is how they normally talk. Everything's normal right now, even though it sucks.
It shows you where, I mean, I wish I could say society's moved ahead a lot more than, I mean, going back to what you're saying is I've never come across anti-sentiment. I can't even say the word.
Anti-Semitism
around here against Jewish people, but it still happens and stuff. It happens. There's definitely communities out there that happens more. And I hate to say it, but you even look back even 20 years ago on how much the phrases that you just said that were, that they were using were still kind of used a lot more in society. It wasn't that long ago you heard those on TV a lot still. And, and things like that. And it's like you don't hear them as much anymore, thankfully. But I still feel like, we definitely have some room to grow in spaces like this.
Yeah, I mean, what do you have the march in Charlottesville a couple of years ago? It was basically giant anti-Semitism.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not gone from society. I don't understand it. I don't get it.
Mhm.
I mean, it's all this idea of like that heritage is somehow sacred and there's something in the blood that makes people different. And the truth is, past the A negative, O positive type stuff, blood is blood. It's weird that we've drawn these lines and then we've just, people have stuck themselves and created their identities around it. And then it just becomes casual. And I think it's casual with the kids in this movie because it's casual with the adults. They're imitating what they've seen previously. I mean, it's the point that they're making later on with the blonde head, kid with the glasses. Where it's like, have you ever even met a Jew? And he's just like, no, but I know. It's like they're just imitating, what the adults around them, do, and that's kind of what kids do. And then when you get to high school age, you basically calcify it, and it becomes part of your identity.
And I think they were trying to show that, that one part where he was introducing him to his dad, where Matt Damon was, and I think they were showing it maybe a little bit of how it comes from the parents. It does, and the kids are kind of mimicking what their parents are. They want to become like their parents. I mean, how many times he throw his name around of, who he is and what he does, and that he feels like he has to follow in the shoes of his dad of going to Harvard and stuff like that. And that doesn't mean just schools. I mean, that he felt, in many ways, I feel like they think that to be successful, they have to be who their parents are. And this is who their parents are.
Yeah, in a way, the success of their parents has tied them to kind of, it's class structure at that point. It's like, you're of this certain class, you're expected to behave and think certain ways, because that's basically the paths to power. And these expectations are about heritage and legacy and last names and stuff like that. And because the kids are not allowed to, or to even dream about being something other than what their last name tells them they have to be, they're kind of stuck in the situation, and then they mimic the things they see around them.
I mean, that's just kids in general, I mean, I see my own children and how they, have always, you always have to be careful about what you say and what you do, because they'll mimic you. You say a bad word and, you think you're not being heard, but you were heard.
Yeah. Well, and what they pick up from the media too. So it's just everything. If it's telling you to act one way, I mean, it's really hard to go against the grain.
Yeah. I think to a certain point, it seems like parents and siblings have way more effect than media does. To a certain point.
To a certain point, yeah.
I mean, if your kids are spending more time with media than they are with you, then yeah, you have little chance to guide them in that process. But
I see, I do see society moving away. I mean, I even see it within my own family. You see that how the generations change. I see how my grandparents, were different and used different terms and phrases, from their generation. And then I see how my mom taught me, and how it's similar. It's just more refined, in that sense of the way that it's taught, and it was a little bit more broader. Now it's kind of becoming more finite, and how we're taught about race relations, how we're taught about you know um, even just how to treat other people of other religions and cultures and stuff. I think we're moving ahead. I just wish it was a little faster than what society is doing.
Yeah, it's a slow march to giving everybody um, humanity,
Yeah.
recognizing everyone as part of humanity, and that's really that seems like what it is. And it's just sometimes you have to wait for generations to die off before a terrible idea truly is put to rest.
Yeah, exactly. And thankfully, I had good grandparents, and then like us, that taught us, you know, what was right, what was wrong, to accept people, but they did that within the confines of their own, they're in their own time frame they grew up in, and that
Yeah.
and that's why but my mom, definitely refining that, them the way that they taught her, to love everybody and stuff like that. And I wish there was more and more of that. But like you said, it's a slow march. I pray that we'll eventually get there. And do you think at the end, where do you think Brendan Fraser's character was at the end? Like, where do you think how he felt? Do you think he felt like he won? He gained anything? I mean, what are your guys' feelings on that?
I don't know. If I was in his shoes, I felt like I dodged a bullet.
Mm.
To be honest, like I felt like I would have dodged a bullet of not getting kicked out, and grateful for Van Kelt and that. But I don't know if I would have felt like I won anything. I mean, it would have been great to see Dylan leave, and you know the final end, the final line, and you'll still be a prick, uh, was great, and it probably felt great to deliver. But I don't know if I would have felt like I won per se, because I
Well,
don't think you won.
yeah, I think an interesting change in his character from the beginning of the movie to the end, Brendan Fraser's character, was it went from a hopeful, scaffolding kind of, this is going to secure my future type situation to almost purely transactional at the end, where he told him, "You're going to use me in football, and I'm going to use you," whatever he said there.
To get to Harvard.
Yeah, to get to Harvard, and in some ways, that is the coming of age, I think. I think that's the core of the coming of age, is that he was, through the racism that he had to deal with. Now, obviously, he had to deal with racism in his hometown. That was the whole beginning of the thing. Um, but I think maybe he definitely had an expectation that, he knew from the warning he got when he got dropped off that he should, and that warning really set him up wrong, if he'd been able to own, you know, w- what he was as a Jewish person in front of the rest of the group at the very beginning, he may still have to dealt with all that stuff, probably. But I don't know. It's because because he set himself up in that way, and well, because he got set up in that way. I mean, he doesn't. It shouldn't have to be the case that he advertises, and I don't think he needs to. But if while they're doing the Jewish jokes, he's like, "Hey guys, I'm Jewish," and that just was like either he then dealt with it immediately. Maybe it wouldn't have been such a huge deal. Of course, it probably still would have, because the ambitions of the people already in the school and already in the society and already in that class would have led to the same conclusions that they did. But watching him go from hopeful about what he was walking into to purely transactional, and knowing that he's going to have to deal with these people the rest of his life, and these types of people, and understanding basically at the end of high school before he heads into Harvard that this is the way the world works. And I thought that was an interesting transition.
That's a good point to look at. This is how the world works at that moment. Okay, yeah. I mean, maybe that enlightened him in the sense um, of that. You know, he, like you said, there was hope at the beginning, but it kind of got thrown in his face. That was his kind of enlightenment of, oh, the world hasn't quite got to where I hope it would be yet.
Yeah, I didn't get the sense that he was out to change the world or anything.
No. He was
wasn't a
trying to live
righteous
in the world.
person. Yeah, he's just trying to live it. But he started to understand that where he's going and the powers that he's going to be dealing with, at Harvard and higher class societies and stuff like that. I think the realization is, or at least the implication is, that this is the way it's going to be.
Mhm.
And if you're going to get ahead, you need to learn how to use their tendencies against them as much as they're trying to use, your race against you. And again, like I said, it becomes transactional.
You know, when I asked this question about, if you won or lost, or, one of the things I felt like it kind of popped into my head when I was thinking it was, in some sense, no, I don't think he won, like you guys are saying, but I think he changed people's minds. And in a sense, that is winning. You saw a lot of the people that were kind of turned against him at the very beginning when they found out he was Jewish kind of rally around him at the end.
Okay. I don't think I saw that, but
no,
I
just
might
in
have
the
missed
sense
it.
of you're starting to see some of his friends like stick up for him. Like even in that, when they were kind of going against each other in that little council. I mean, he had Chris O'Donnell's character going for him. He had the guy that, was ultimately turned in.
Well, I think O'Donnell's definitely, looking at the injustice of the situation
Mhm.
and reacting to it. I think that the head kid, I don't remember his name, that actually ended up clearing his character. I don't think race had to do with it. I think he just needed to do the right thing, and he was friends longer with Matt Damon's character, like a lot longer. They were roommates for like 3 or plus years or something like that, 4 years or something
4
like
Yeah.
years, yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yep.
So, like, I don't know. Like, it didn't come across to me that he won people over per se. Like, O'Donnell's character was a sweetheart the whole time, practically anyway, except for the whole Methodist thing, right? Like, he
Mhm.
wasn't against him. And I don't think the kids that were explicitly against him because of his faith or his race changed their minds in this process.
Okay.
Because the whole thing got nullified. The whole 12 Angry Men section got nullified by the guy stepping forward later and telling them exactly what happened.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I think that's a good point.
When you think of it that way, I think that's a good way, because I was feeling a little bit that he had changed a few people's minds.
Yeah, I don't think he did. I really don't. I don't think he changed there. I think the only mind that changed was his, and it, like I said, I think it went from hopeful to transactional. So in some sense, this isn't a joyous movie, right? It's
No,
not
it's
a
not. It's not.
yeah. It's not everybody learned a lesson and went home and became better people. Like, he
No,
didn't
not at
become a
all.
better person. He just understood this relationship that's going to happen from now on, and he'll have to pick his friends from the people that are like O'Donnell, but they're still going to have, racist backgrounds to work through, and they might be worth working through with. But for the rest of it, these people want something from him, his athleticism, his skills at football, and he wants something from them,
Which is Harvard.
which is Harvard. And then at Harvard, it's probably going to be the same thing. They're going to want him for one reason, and he's going to give it to them with the transaction of being what he wants out of it.
Yeah,
That's a good point.
And so I don't think this is like, it's not a. In some ways, I think that's more realistic. I don't think most racists change their minds by meeting just one good person. There is someone out there that does represent that happening.
Mhm.
There's this guy in He's a Louisiana musician. He's like converted like, I don't know, like 100 KKK people out of that or something like that just by being friends with them. So they're, law of large numbers is going to be somebody who's able to do it. And, thank goodness he's out there. But this movie definitely probably represents the norm in that sense, is that, once you've, like, maybe if you get to the kids when they're earlier and can, create a situation where they can see the injustice of it, because even young kids seem to respond to injustice like it's kind of ingrained. um it's just when their society around them couches certain things as injustice, but in other contexts, like race or something like that as well, actually those people, race or class, those people are dirty and they don't deserve the type of justice you think they should. There's something else that causes their situation to be the just situation. And then once that gets in the kid's head, it's an insidious idea, and it sits there and it kind of ruins society.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point.
And the other thing I got from this movie is lung cancer.
Yeah.
Because good Lord,
There was,
they
there's
smoked
a
lot of cigarettes.
There was a lot.
Do you know who the writer of this movie was? This is not on a true story, but do you know who it came from, though? It kind of came from some like real life situations. You guys know who Dick Wolf is?
Yeah, he's the guy who did Law and Order and all that stuff like that. Yeah.
He wrote this with another guy from his own experiences. I thought that was very interesting.
Gotcha.
I wasn't expecting to kind of see Dick Wolf on there. But
at least not without the signature sound.
I know. I knew someone was going to bring that up. when I said his name, it should be there. Dang it!
It could have been in the fadeaway after the 12 Angry Men montage.
Dun, dun, these are the Oh man. Well, good. Hopefully you guys like this movie. I do enjoy it when I watch it. It's not something I watch all the time. It's definitely in the annals of my video selections. But when I when I come across it like on TV or whatever, back in the day I had cable. It's definitely one I'll watch for a while. I think they do a good acting job, and it's kind of fun to see those characters also in kind of when they were younger. When they were getting started. Is there anything else that you guys want to bring up in this movie?
No, I think I've covered.
Any more? You guys have your notes?
Nope.
I think I've covered the things I wanted to cover.
Awesome. We got ratings?
Yeah, let's do ratings, guys. John, what's your ratings?
I'll watch this with my mom. I think she'd enjoy it.
Cool.
She likes Brendan Fraser a lot, so.
Yeah, I agree. I'm gonna give this an 8 out of 10. And then I will say that I already do own this on VHS.
Cool. Do you even have a VCR still?
I do, actually. I have a functioning VCR still. Yeah.
Wow. All right.
Crit?
I will give it 15 out of 25 balloons between dancers.
Oh, gee.
When they did the crane shot away, you could hear a couple of them pop. I thought it was a great touch.
That scene was just so reminiscent of junior high. Oh my goodness.
You guys did that in junior high? Wow.
Yeah.
Balloons between dancers?
No,
that's a 1950s thing.
It was more of like, keep your distance. They didn't put anything between us. My mom would say that they would put
junior high, we couldn't even get half the people to dance with each other.
Yeah, I was about to say, like ours was like they wallflowers all the way.
Yeah.
Except for that one weird couple.
Yep.
Doing it freaky deaky style out there in the middle. Yeah.
Yep.
There's always those ones. Cool. Crit, would you like to give us your
All right.
movies for this coming of age genre for next week.
Yeah, I have one that I want you guys to really pick, but I think all three are great, obviously. So the first one, teacher's best attempt at awakening kids' inner lives.
Okay, I know what that one is.
Probably, yeah. Second one, is getting laid more important than friendship? And number three,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You're making me laugh more than anything, John.
it's actually a really tough question when you're coming of age. All right. And the final one, number three, deadly trade skills taught by a caring person shows the best path to adulthood.
Oh, I know what that one is too. I know both the first and second one, and they're both excellent. I say go for number three. I really like number three.
Josh?
I have no idea what number 3 is.
Okay.
I have an idea, I think, of what number 1 is. I'm actually fine with that one.
Okay, number 3.
Was that the one you wanted us to pick?
Actually,
I'm good at number 3.
Yeah,
Yeah.
actually, it is the one I want you to pick.
Yeah.
All right. Teacher's best attempt at awakening kids in inner lives. That's Dead Poet Society.
I knew
Yep,
that's
called
what it
that
was.
one.
Good movie.
Excellent movie.
Yeah. I was hoping to get a Robin Williams one in here. I'll have to sneak it into a different list then.
It just sucks your number 3 was so good.
I know. I know. All right. Is getting laid more important than friendship? Super bad.
Oh, that would have been good too.
I've never seen it.
You've never seen Super Bad? Oh crap! I got to get it back on the list then.
I've never seen it.
That's the only one out of all the 3 I did not know off the top of my head, but that makes a lot more sense. I love that film.
Yeah. All right. Deadly trade skills taught by a caring person shows the best path to adulthood. Leon the Professional.
Yep.
I haven't seen it.
Called that one.
I haven't seen it either.
It's a weird pick for coming of age, but I think it works.
Who's coming of age in that one? Is it Natalie Portman? Or
It is.
Yep.
I mean, I know of the movie. I've just never seen it.
Oh, it's great. Gary Oldman.
I'm really excited to see it. It's one that's been on my list. It just never seems to come up. So that is exciting, man. I think those were all good picks, man.
Thanks.
Yep. I'm really excited to see Leon the Professional again.
I haven't seen it in years, so that's
It's same here. It's probably been 10 years.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
And Josh hasn't seen it, so
Yeah.
Yeah, there was 2 movies on the list that I've never seen. As many movies as I've seen, you guys still come up with a ton I've never seen before and stuff. But hey, that's what this is for. It's not only opening up everybody out there's horizons, all of our 47 people, but my personal horizons. Well, awesome. Well, I appreciate everybody for the conversation tonight. I think it was a good conversation about school ties. Again, I know it was a little bit of a different coming of age movie, but I think it's a good one. I like throwing some of those kind of different ones into my lists every once in a while. Like I said, I always do like a crazy one I won't really want, like a sci-fi one, and then one like these that I've maybe doesn't quite fit the genre as much, but whatever. I try to go to like the ones that'll be like a little bit more crit style. That's what it is. Yeah.
Just do you, man. Don't do me.
I'm joking, dude. I'm totally joking.
You're fine. All your picks are great.
I'm just
Even though you made us watch the Christmas movie.
Oh,
yeah, the
I'm
Christmas
not going to
movie
live
is
that
the
one down for a while.
No, it's going to be a while before we let you go on that.
Revenge shall be mine.
Yeah, I'm still like,
I mean,
my own
unfortunately,
self
I
up
had
about
too
that
many
one.
good movies to pick from for this thing. Otherwise, I could have put some really horrible movies on this list, but I couldn't do it.
There's a lot of terrible ones out there.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for being on the podcast, guys, and I look forward to next week. And to everybody out there listening, thank you for supporting our channel, and May you be excellent to each other and live long and prosper from all of us here at Josh's House of Nerd. Good night.
Thanks for watching. For more nerdy awesomeness, please like and subscribe and check out our other nerdy videos.